Okay, today on Gather and Grind, we're going to turn this to this. All right, the lobster mushroom, Hypomyces lactiflorum. It's actually two mushrooms in one. Here is a big specimen. You can see, and you can't miss it once you've seen that beautiful color. It looks just like a lobster. On the outside, it'll be red. On the inside, now this one is past its prime. It's going to be white. What it is if you have a close look here, you can actually see the gills of the Russula brevipedes, the Russula mushroom that this host is the host mushroom, and this parasitizes and closes them all up, all of these gills up, and actually turns the entire surface into spore production for the lobster. Now this one is a little bit past prime as well, but we'll leave that here to feed the forest. Oh, however, little one next to it. Once you find one, definitely look around because you're bound to find others. This one might take home with me. So today I want to cook one of my favorite dishes with lobster mushrooms, lobster mushroom pasta with cream sauce. Now, it's getting a little bit late in the season for fresh lobster mushrooms in the woods, so I only found 3 little samples here that I wanted to eat. And I'm going to save those for another dish where we grate them up. But fortunately, lobster mushrooms preserve beautifully. You can, I've got some last season ones here. You can fry them in butter and freeze them in a Ziploc or in a vacuum seal bag. And you can see, look at the color there that just comes out of them. They are incredible and they freeze beautifully and last really well. They also dry really nicely. So you can keep a nice jar of dried lobster mushrooms, and we'll cook some other dishes with those as well later on. But they're beautiful and magical, and the smell of them is even more concentrated and seafood-like. Not quite seafood-like, but kind of mushroom meets seafood, which you would expect with a lobster mushroom. But today I'm going to go into my stash of some frozen preserved ones here for this lobster mushroom pasta and save my fresh ones for another dish. So I've got my thawed lobster mushrooms in butter here, ready to go. I've got a chunk of thyme, fresh thyme here, about 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, and an extra lump of butter just for good measure. Now, there's already a bunch of butter in my lobster mushrooms from when I froze them, but with 2 cups of heavy cream, let's be honest, this is not a diet dish. So, while we're prepping this up, let's get our pan heating up to about medium-low. You're gonna have to simmer this, and you don't wanna burn the butter. I'm gonna get a little bunch of salt here, crush my garlic, and just chop it up fine. I like to chop it into some salt just to kind of catch any of the juices here. This is fresh garlic from the garden, so it's gonna give up a lot. And just chop it fine to get ready to go into the pan. Into our hot pan goes a lump of butter and some of the garlic once that has heated up a little bit there. You just need to sweat off a little bit. This has got to cook for about 10 or 15 minutes with the cream and the lobster mushrooms, so don't worry too much about that. The garlic will get nice and done, and we really want the flavors of these lobster mushrooms to sing. Once you have got your garlic heated up there, I'm going to turn it up a little bit to medium heat here, but you do not want to burn that garlic or the mushrooms. Put your lobster mushrooms in there to saute, and do not leave any of those behind. Oh, that smells amazing. All right, once that starts going, you want to get in a nice pot of water for some pasta. All right, now, normally if these were fresh lobster mushrooms, we want to saute these off for about 10 minutes or so. They are pretty hardy mushrooms, so they can take a lot of cooking, but these ones have already been sauteed, so at the same time, I'm going to add my 2 cups of heavy cream, and that has got to cook down for about 10 or 15 minutes. So just about enough time for me to get some pasta on here and into the pasta with some salt. And here I'm using fusilli. I normally like penne, however, that's all I had at the moment, so this will work just as well. Give that a little stir so it doesn't stick to the bottom, and check your label. This is 11 minutes for this pasta here. In the meantime, turn our attention back to the lobster mushrooms and cream. That's going to come up to temperature at medium heat. It'll take a little while to start to bubble, but once it starts to bubble, reduce it down to low and let it get nice and thick. Once that cream starts to boil, take the temperature down a little bit to a simmer, and you can see that beautiful orange color already coming out of it. At this stage, you can take some of your thyme and just throw in some of those, peel off some of those thyme leaves. All right, now just before my pasta is done, I'm going to steal a little bit of that pasta water to add to my sauce. Not too much because the cream will help it with the thickening already, but help add a little bit of starch there. I'm going to pull the pasta a little bit early so that it has time to cook in the cream sauce and thicken up nicely. The cream sauce has thickened up nicely. You can see that, that it's reduced by a little bit there. You're starting to get a little bit of thickness here. I'm just going to add a splash of that pasta water and then drop the pasta right into my sauce so it has time to thicken up and cream. Just give it a little bit of toss and you can already see the pasta absorbing that cream sauce and just getting nice and thick. Now let it cook for about a minute or two and you will have the most luxurious lobster mushroom pasta. All right, so lobster mushroom pasta, all nice and thickened up. Beautiful cream sauce there. A little bit of thyme and the nice red mushrooms kind of popping through here. This is great on its own, or you can add some prawns or seafood or serve it beside a steak and have a surf and turf, or as my son calls it, a turf and turf. Plate it up here, add a little extra fresh thyme, a little bit for garnish, and you have yourself an outstanding meal. Incredible. I wish I could share. Oh. God, I'm supposed to save that for dinner.
You just eat all of it. Save it.
Don't tell Mom.